Yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome to my corner of the world. It is time for a death battle. We got Shigaraki versus Mahito. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not really a fan of either one of these characters, especially Mahito. I could not stand him. So based off of just that alone, I'm going with Shigaraki because even though I don't like Shigaraki, I definitely found him to be a more interesting character of the two. And yeah, I haven't really gotten caught up on My Hero. I just stopped watching it for some reason, but here we are with these two. I'm rooting for Shigaraki. Let's see what happens. Link to the original video will be in the description if you want to check it out on your own. Let's run this up.
Shigaraki versus Mahito.
The symbol of fear versus the human disaster curse.
He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Tenko Shimura was just a sweet, shy boy who loved superheroes.
But sometimes the hand of fate can't abide sweet shy boys.
Ruthlessly beaten and abused by his hero-hating father, Tenko pushed beyond his emotional limits until he activated his inherent superpower, or quirk.
It wasn't something cool like flight or super strength. In his terror, he accidentally killed his whole family.
Yeah.
Well, except for dear old dad. That one was intentional.
Yeah.
Tenko wandered the streets alone, silently begging for someone, anyone, to help him. If only a hero was there to save him. But instead, the only open hand he found belonged to the devil.
All for one. The greatest supervillain in history.
He took Tenko under his wing, feeding a hatred of everyone and everything, and grooming him to one day lead his league of villains in destroying hero society.
With that came a new name, Tomura Shigaraki, and an absolutely nightmarish quirk, Decay. It does what it says on the tin. Anything Shiggy touches with all 5 fingers turns to dust. The perfect power for someone who just wants to destroy.
Yeah.
Pretty menacing. If
That's
not
a
for that
pretty
Tortillas
OP
costume. I get it, hands are
quirk,
his thing,
I'm not
but
gonna
go
lie.
on. They just look so dumb and fake.
Oh, those aren't prosthetics. Those are real hands from his family that he killed, attached to his face, and explicitly commanded to be left there by his mentor so that he would never forget his rage.
Okay.
While his use of decay started off relatively weak, it rapidly increased in power and range as Shigaraki came into his own.
Decay isn't even limited to whatever he's touching. Anything that touches something he's decaying also decays.
Spreading like an all-consuming miasma that can wipe out anything from an enormous tower to an entire city.
If decay reaches you, your only hope is to isolate the body part that is disintegrating before it gets to something vital.
After years of training with the greatest supervillain of all time, Shigaraki was finally put in charge of his own team with one mission. He must kill his master's rival, the #1 hero, All Might.
Only to fall flat on his face.
Shigaraki was a terrible
Yeah.
leader, quick-tempered, short-sighted, and, well...
Cringe! Oh, he's just so cringe. He uses gamer lingo unironically. He whines like a baby when things don't go his way.
Yeah.
He's the kind of guy who would say normie in real life, in front of normies.
But they say defeat is the greatest teacher of all. Only through struggle could Shigaraki manifest his dark conviction.
Right as All Might's new protege, Izuku Midoriya, was coming into his own as well.
These two rivals, the inheritors of their master's blood feud, would push themselves past their own limitations.
Especially when All Might and All for One double KO'd each other, leaving Shigaraki to lead the League of Villains all by himself.
And with the stakes higher than ever before, Shigaraki stepped up. He personally battled the monstrous Gigantomachia for a month and a half straight, and conquered other villain organizations to create the Paranormal Liberation Front. Thousands of new soldiers for his personal army.
All to impress All for One's personal quack. Dr. Ujiko, who spent months upgrading Shigaraki's body to make it more like his sensei's. It might have been constant agony, but Shiggy went from Chud to Chad.
Ujiko's experimentation vastly increased Shigaraki's strength, speed, and durability, enough to match and surpass even All Might's absurd powers.
Sharing All Might's power between them, Deku and Bakugo were able to punch an island-sized hole in a cloud that reached 24 miles into the sky. We've calculated that before to be nearly 80 million megatons of TNT, almost as much as the meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs.
And Shigaraki can now move fast enough that his body produces hypersonic shockwaves and can even catch laser beams.
And he's tough enough to survive Star and Stripes' intercontinental ballistic cruise punch. Now that
it's actually so crazy to me that they introduced a character that is as OP as this woman right here. I think they just said her name was Stripe or Stars and Stripe or something, right? She was such an OP character that did virtually nothing. I honestly felt like it was a slap in the face. I'm not even gonna lie, because I was like, oh, this girl is dope. She's awesome. She can like basically do anything. That's awesome. And then they have her not only lose when she shows up, but die. Spoiler if you haven't seen it. It's like, bruh, why? Why bother introducing her at all then? Like, I get it, she did some long-lasting damage to Shigaraki, but it's like, bruh, come on.
new name for my penis.
Come on.
Move over, gigantic Omega Storm. Anyway, it also made a blast
she
so big
was
it showed up against the
OP.
curvature of the Earth.
Though he might seem invincible, when Shigaraki's body is pushed hard enough, he will evolve into a state of uncontrollable power.
So Decay became? Oh shit, more hands!
Shigaraki can spontaneously generate flesh into existence, seemingly oceans of it in an instant, whenever he wants. He can even use it as a type of armor to defend himself in close combat.
But that's nothing compared to Ujiko's greatest gift. Shigaraki wanted to be the new All for One, so what better way than the old man's quirk?
All for One's quirk, All for One, allows its user to steal and store quirks with just a touch.
And All for One has hundreds of them stored up, collected over the years.
Each quirk is connected to a memory of its user's essence in the form of a spirit, a vestige.
Kinda like a piece of their soul. They exist in this kinda psychic world in Shigaraki's body, and can even act as a spiritual defense should it be invaded.
And with those vestiges came quirks like super fast healing, air blasts, radio waves, flight, telekinesis, teleportation of others, and the ability to track foes.
He can even combine multiple quirks together, like in this big-ass electric Kamehameha.
However, any vestige stolen or destroyed will also remove that quirk from Shigaraki's repertoire. They're also sentient, and some can even fight for control.
Which is when the second shoe finally dropped. Because Shigaraki also got All for One's vestige, that means All for One was now in possession of a shiny new body that he'd spent the last 15 years molding for him to take over.
Shigaraki's entire existence was planned from the beginning.
Yeah.
Why? Because All Might's previous mentor was Nana Shimura, Tenko's grandmother.
Oh, that to mess with All Might. That is some next level hating right there.
He
That's level
manipulated
hating and
Shigaraki's
pettiness.
entire life, all
Like,
for
that's
one
crazy.
purpose. To create a soul so corrupted it would grind away at All Might's perfect world, allowing All for One to take full control.
But All for One's possession wasn't complete, and Shiggy managed to fight his way back to the top, literally decaying his way through vestiges in the process, all to fight his rival Deku one last time.
Despite Izuku's best efforts to save him, Shigaraki was too far gone. His spirit decayed by years of venomous hatred.
And the new symbol of hope defeated the new symbol of fear, burying All for One's grudge for good.
All that Shigaraki asked was to be remembered as the heartless destroyer he was raised to be, and not the broken, angry, crying little boy he really was deep inside.
For just that one moment, though, Shiggy got in Deku the only thing he'd been denied his whole life, the one thing his lifelong nihilistic tantrum was really all about. He got a hero who tried to save him. This battle is sponsored by Robin Hood Gold.
Yeah. Guy went through it, no doubt.
By Robin Hood Gold LLC. Ever since Cain slew his brother Abel and wetted his fields with his blood, man's greatest fear has been his fellow man.
But what if this fear took on a life of its own?
What if all that negative emotion humans felt for one another spilled from their bodies and congealed, forming, over time, a living being fueled by malice, which believes in nothing but the law of the jungle?
Well, then you'd have the special grade curse with the patch face, Mahito. Oh, I've had people tell me I've become a human disaster curse when I've had too many mojitos.
Mahito is one of the deadliest beings to ever afflict mankind. He's no mere mortal though, but a cursed spirit. Innumerable spirits exist, weaker or stronger depending on the amount of anxieties, jealousies, hatreds, and fears humans feel about them.
Like the fear of locusts, kinda weak. Or the fear of smallpox, getting stronger. Or the fear of fire. Oh, goodbye, Tokyo.
So it follows that mankind's fear of itself would be extremely powerful. Those negative emotions manifest as Mahito, a being composed of cursed energy.
It's basically like evil ki. Cursed energy can be used to make spirits way stronger, faster, and tougher than any normal human. And it's invisible, making curses like Mahito impossible for the untrained eye to see. Only a life or death situation can galvanize a normal person to see a cursed spirit.
That also makes cursed spirits virtually immune to physical damage. They may be physically present in space, but can only be harmed by attacks that embody spirit matter like cursed energy.
Which makes curses insanely hard to get rid of, like ghosts, cockroaches, or my ex. That's why you need a Jujutsu sorcerer to come in and Kaisen the shit out of them. They call it exorcism, but I like the way I said it better.
Curses and sorcerers have battled each other for millennia, waging an endless war over the fate of humanity. Almost exclusively in Japan, though, for some reason.
But Mahito was
You know
special.
how
You see, most curses are
that
basically
works.
dumb animals. But
You know how
Mahito has so
animes
much
work.
cursed energy that it gave him sentience.
It's like people who say like these things about US movies, like these US action movies that have these villains that enact plots that would like impact the entire world. The entire world in those movies being New York, California, or literally just whatever state they happen to take place in, not the entire globe. Here, it's the same thing. Curses, doing all this stuff that would impact the entire globe meaning all of Japan. Like, it's the same thing. You know how it works.
So he was recruited by Kenjaku alongside other special grade disaster curses to wreak havoc upon the world. In fact, they made Mahito their leader.
And even more frightening than intelligence and bloodlust, Mahito possessed philosophy.
Perhaps informed by the tragic meaninglessness of interhuman conflict, Mahito is an existential nihilist, believing in nothing but his own will to power. It's a dog-eat-dog world, and Mahito is the wolf.
Which also makes him kind of a goofball. If nothing matters, why not have fun with the slaughter? Really get your steps in. He loves to dig around and toy with your emotions like a cartoon character before slitting your throat.
An appropriate analogy considering his curse technique, idle transfiguration.
Using his cursed energy, Mahito can control anyone's soul with just a touch, including his own. In fact, he's so good at manipulating his own soul that you can't even kill the bastard without directly targeting it.
In Jujutsu Kaisen, the soul and the body
An
share an
annoying
immutable
trait that he
connection.
has.
Whatever happens to the former affects the latter.
This lets Mahito squash, stretch, and shapeshift his body into literally anything he wants, like Play-Doh. He can turn his limbs into blades or clubs, grow wings like a bird or fins like a fish, reform his body around injuries, or even create clones.
Curse users are naturally unharmed by their own ability. Should he touch a human, though, his alterations to their body are
Oh my
instantly
God.
fatal.
And since he's attacking your soul, those physical wounds are gonna be impossible to heal.
Even if his alteration isn't directly fatal, the human body won't last more than a few moments in a transfigured state.
All that with one touch! God, I thought herpes was bad.
His powers mean Mahito treats humans as effectively disposable dolls that he can gleefully experiment on. The more casualties, the better, especially if he gets to break your spirit first and watch you suffer.
Even more twisted is when he combines two transfigured humans together for soul multiplicity, essentially a giant torrent of body horror
Hate
flesh
that.
that he repels at an opponent. Ugh.
Mahito is unbelievably creative with his application of idol transfiguration, and despite being a newborn curse, consistently keeps experienced sorcerers on the back foot.
It helps that he's a quick study who's picked up a number of different curse techniques, like the Black Flash.
By applying cursed energy within 1 microsecond of an impact with an enemy, space itself will distort, exponentially amplifying its force by a factor of 2.5.
Not only does this hurt like a mother, it restores your curse technique and gets you fully in the zone.
And would require reflexes moving nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. It's no surprise then that Mahito also unlocked the pinnacle of sorcerer techniques, the Domain Expansion.
Oh shit! More hands! A domain is like a
More
barrier of
hands.
cursed energy, but if you're caught inside, Mahito can use idol transfiguration instantly without even needing to touch you.
It's called the self-embodiment of perfection, the ultimate expression of Mahito's absolute control over his victim's body and soul. The only time it ever failed was against the student sorcerer and Mahito's archenemy, Yuji Itadori.
Because not only was Yuji a barf-inducing goody little two-shoes who believed in the inalienable rights of all living things, blah, 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 he also had a curse inside of him.
The king of curses, Sukuna.
Which meant Mahito's ability affected both souls in Yuji's body. Sukuna didn't like that. No
Not at
surprise,
all.
and kicked Mahito's ass, forcing Patchface to fight with a handicap whenever facing his pink-haired menace.
Yuji's belief in the value of human life flew directly in the face of the world that Mahito knew to be cruel and meaningless. So he made it his mission to crush Yuji's spirit before killing him, murdering his friends, defiling their corpses, and brutally battering him before going in for the kill.
And he's got the strength to do it. Mahito's one of the most powerful curses in the world, and his growth is exponential.
Fellow disaster curse Jogo was able to summon a massive meteor capable of reducing the city of Shibuya to ash.
That'd take an energy of over 800 kilotons of TNT.
And
Oh my
Mahito
God.
can take as good as he can give, especially when, in the throes of struggle against Yuji, he evolved, unlocking a vastly more powerful form, the instant body of distorted killing.
Complete with armored exoskeleton and arm blades, this was a taste of the almighty curse Mahito was growing into, a true blight on all mankind.
It wouldn't last. In a bitter battle of resolve, Yuji won out. In a dog-eat-dog world, there was now a bigger wolf.
So he
Good.
tucked tail and ran away like a bitch. And what do you know? Life suddenly became a whole lot more meaningful the second
I was
it looked like it
laughing
was about
as I
to
watched
end.
that.
All that gleeful nihilism, just a bitter hypocrisy in the
Just
end.
to see
For
him go,
maybe,
I
but
was
Mahito
laughing
found a
so
convert
hard.
in his archenemy. After a battle that wiped out thousands of innocent people, Yuji's youthful spirit was gone. The only thing left that mattered was exorcising this curse.
In a way, that was Mahito's final victory, the destruction of another human being's soul. He may not have been around to see it, but the curse Mahito inflicted on the world would bring it to its knees. Hey, do you see that join button?
Yeah, man. Having gone through all that, I honestly don't know who wins. Because I feel like Mahito has a certain advantage in that he can't really be affected by attacks unless the attacks impact his soul. And I don't... Does Shigaraki have an ability that can do that? I honestly don't remember. I mean, I guess with decay, if you strip away the body, at some point you'll get to the soul, right? So maybe, because like, does your soul technically touch your body? Because like, if that's the case, then his decay ability has been amplified to the point where it can decay not just what he targeted, but anything the target is touching as well. So if the soul touches the body in some way, then technically his ability should be able to strip away at it. If not, I honestly don't see how Shigaraki could win. But we'll see. It's definitely an interesting battle.
All right, the combatants are set, and we've run the data through all possibilities.
It's time for a death battle!
God, alright.
I'd heard of a powerful villain stalking these parts.
Yeah, that was another thing that I forgot to mention. Mahito did have this thing that, regular humans can't see cursed energy, right? It's basically invisible unless they are trained for it. With Shigaraki's sensing ability, could he not technically see Mahito, or at the very least do it like kind of like a radar sense, in that he may not be able to physically see him per se, but he could like sense where his body is. But I guess no, it's like full on, he can see him. Okay.
Organization is going to tear this putrid world down around us. We could use a freak of your talents.
Little old me. Do I want to be king of the social rejects? How about I bring them your head instead?
Fine by me. Let's call this your audition. Sickum.
He's gonna have fun with them.
Game over. Did you actually just say that? God, how lame!
My God. You getting jumped, bro?
Audition over. Did I get the part? Decay! What a rush!
I ain't gonna lie, Mahito is kind of working him right now.
That all you got?
Domain expansion.
And this music, I'm in it.
I can read your soul. You're just a scared little boy whose daddy was mean and wants to make it everyone else's problem. Grow up.
I mean, he has multiple souls. I forgot about that. Yeah. That's right. He does have multiple souls within because of all the different quirks. I forgot.
I felt your soul too. You only hate humanity because you were born that way. Totally random. I hate them for a reason. You grow up.
Okay, so I was right. His decay did work.
Like a bitch.
With their complex power sets, this match was a puzzle to figure out, which is why we're breaking it down to 3 categories: physical stats, survivability, and their powers.
Okay.
First, let's address one thing. Could Shigaraki even see Mahito? He's an invisible curse after all.
Cursed energy and quirks are notably different, and Shigaraki wouldn't be able to see curses normally. However, even regular humans can spontaneously develop the ability to see curses in life and death scenarios. And with the Surge quirk, Shigaraki would have had no problem tracking it.
So
Yeah.
seeing Mahito wouldn't have been an issue. With that out of the way, we can jump into their stats.
This was no contest. Despite the disaster curses being able to destroy entire cities with their cursed energy, Shigaraki's scaling to Deku and Bakugo meant he was calculably millions of times stronger.
Fair
He was
enough.
faster too, considering he could react to light beams, while Mahito's Black Flash capped out at nearly 1,000 times the speed of sound. Nothing to scoff at, but Shiggy was thousands of times faster. Shigaraki takes stats.
But survivability was a little trickier to figure out.
Yep, in terms of raw durability, Shigaraki was a lot tougher, and his ability to generate new flesh meant that he could heal any wounds he might receive super easy.
However,
Yo, this
Mahito
music
a
is
curse
popping
and is
off,
immune
dude.
to the kind of overwhelming physical damage Shigaraki could dish out. Not only that, Mahito's regenerative ability via idle transfiguration meant that he'd come back from anything short of spiritual damage.
Considering Mahito's unique curse body, he should actually get the edge in survivability.
Which presents a crucial question. Could Shigaraki even kill a curse like Mahito in the first place?
Or would Mahito's unkillability give him the time he needed to eventually put Shiggy down with idle transfiguration?
It all comes down to their powers.
Shigaraki had a lot more variety with all of the crazy quirks All For One had collected over all the years, but none that we know of could properly kill a curse. That didn't mean idle transfiguration was a surefire bet either, though.
Of all things, Shigaraki's vestiges served as a spiritual shield from the effects of idle
I
transfiguration.
can't believe I forgot
The
about
fact
that.
Mahito could not avoid targeting Sukuna while attacking Yuji meant that he couldn't target specific souls inside a person.
And Shiggy has hundreds of soul-like entities inside of him. Sure, each one down means he loses a quirk, but that's more than enough time to land a single hit with Decay, especially considering how much faster Shiggy is.
And Mahito has no way to defend against Shigaraki's primary quirk. Decay has affected spiritual beings in the past. Again, vestiges. In fact, he was able to damage Deku's vestige and have that damage transferred to the Deku in the real world.
Mahito may
Okay.
be made of spirit energy, but he still has a physical form. In fact, sorcerers that couldn't naturally target the soul were able to fight him on even footing. No reason to think Shiggy wouldn't decay him like everyone else.
Giving Shigaraki the third and final edge.
All right.
It was a unique duel to the death, but Shigaraki's overwhelming might, unstoppable powers, and deadly decay spelled the end for the disaster curse.
Nothing else to say. You really gotta hand it to Shigaraki.
The winner is Tomura Shigaraki.
Thank God.
Next time on Death Battle.
What is this?
Subscribe
Master
and
Chief
join as a
versus
member to see
Doomslayer.
more Death Battle.
I actually don't really know anything about Master Chief or Doomslayer. I'll be real. I don't know anything about those guys, but yo, this battle was actually a lot of fun to watch because I was like really intrigued. Like, could any of Shigaraki's attacks actually work? Because it's like, we know he could get rid of the physical body, but then Mahito could just regenerate it, right? So it's like, could he also decay Mahito's soul? And I completely forgot about this because they did show clips of it from the anime. He actually did decay some souls in the anime. I completely forgot about it. It's been like close to a year since I've seen anything related to My Hero at all, so please don't hold it against me. I completely forgot that Shigaraki was actually that OP. I really did. But yeah, thank God he won. I was rooting for him the whole time. I did not want to see Mahito win this at all. can't stand his character. Even after he's dead, I still am like stomping on his grave. But it's fine. He won. Don't know what's gonna come with Master Chief and Doomslayer though, because again, I know nothing about those guys. But anyway, that's gonna be it for me with this one. If you enjoyed my reaction, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and I will catch you in the next video. See ya.